You wake up in your bed and you're only 12 years old. Everything since was just a dream, but you have the knowledge of your older self. What do you do differently? I'd work out more, and I'd give up on certain friends, and try harder with some. Really only 3 that come to mind that are worth trying to stick with this time around. I'd ignore the rest. Not sure what else I'd do really. This speaks to me. I hung out with a lot of assholes and let them push me around because I thought they were cool, and I was obsessed with popularity. There were some more genuine kids, but I didn't seek them out like I should have. Once you realize it, it's too late sometimes. The kids worth being friends with were so rare that when I found them, I just treated them like anybody else. Wish I hadn't. To add to the answer, I'd write the lyrics to all the hit songs of today that I hate and post them onto the internet. Hopefully finding their own lyrics already written would dissuade them from creating the song. I'd also invite my sister to do exercise with me. She now regrets not looking out for her health sooner and nobody pointing out what was happening. Everything. Just freaking everything. 1. Avoid all debt. 2. Get a degree in a different subject. And 3. Marry someone else. Not say that I want to be a doctor when I get older. That would save me a ton of headache and needling. Also change my study habits, walking habits, hygiene habits, and speaking habits. Another ton of headaches gone. Invest money. Hey mom, can you put my allowance in the stock market this month? I swear you won't regret it. Tell my dad to go get checked for a brain aneurysm every year. So, I guess the full story is in order. I lost my dad when I was 32, not 12. But I would still spend 20 years watching him carefully and begging him to have a yearly scan or test or whatever if it meant getting another day with him. My mom and I were on vacation visiting my brother, who had just had his first baby, when my dad passed. He did not come with us because he had recently retired. So he and my sister were planning to ride their motorcycles across country together to see the baby. It was the last day of my trip, and I was spending it with a cousin who lives in the area. My mom was staying behind for another week. Even though my dad was officially retired, he was working part-time as a handyman at a local rec center and was supposed to go to work that morning. My uncle ran the rec center and didn't find out until late in the day that my dad did not show up for work. My aunt called my mom to say that my dad didn't show up. My mom knew right then that something was wrong. My dad showed up. If you told him 6 years ago to show up at your doorstep at this exact time, he would be there right on time. My mom then called another uncle, one of my dad's brothers who lived near us, to go check on him. He is the one who found him on the bathroom floor. My world hasn't been the same since. I was standing on a street corner in Los Angeles waiting for a table at a restaurant when my mom called to tell me. We assumed that, since it was an unattended death and he wasn't sick, that an autopsy would be performed. We didn't find out until weeks later, when we got the death certificate, that one was not performed. We had been given a cause of death as hardening of the arteries. My mom asked her cardiologist the next time she went in if that could have been determined without an autopsy, and he said no. I did a little research on the subject and found an article that states that sometimes that code is given when the coroner wants to chalk it up to natural causes. We figured on the aneurysm as COD because my dad had a brother who died at home by himself at roughly the exact same age of 1. An autopsy was performed on him, though, and probably because he had not been found for a while and foul play could not be so easily ruled out. We didn't know that aneurysms were genetic. I wish we did. I mentioned in another comment that about a month before his death he came home from work suffering from the worst headache of his life. My mom was worried and tried getting him to go to the hospital, but he refused and the headache was gone by morning. I've read that is really the only warning sign of an impending aneurysm rupture. The only good to come out of it was that my mom saw how hard my sister and brother and I took the loss, and she realized that she couldn't put us through that again anytime soon if she could help it. So, she started taking care of herself much better. She's the one with diabetes and had heart surgery. Before losing my dad she was just kind of nonchalant about taking care of herself. She told my dad she wouldn't go through heart surgery again Even when the doctor had concerns about her other valve. When the endocrinologist scolded her about her A1C, she kind of blew it off. She's a champ now, though. She splits her time between living with my brother and sister, and also spends a week here and there with me. And we all make sure she never goes without a prescription. And my sister goes to every doctor appointment with her. She turned 70 this year and our plans to throw her a party were affected by COVID-19. But I think we will still manage something. My dad's birthday is this coming Friday, and he would have been 70 as well. The sun rose and set with my mom. As far as he was concerned, he would have given his life for her, and maybe he did. But holy F do I miss him. I'd immediately start making plans to leave the house as soon as possible. Same here. I would leave as soon as possible and try and get the heck out of the country. Start life over away from that awful town and relatives. It wouldn't be fair. Getting my childhood back and having to relive all that crap. Cry. Cry beyond happiness that I'm back in 2005 and begin playing Dungeons and Dragons. Go to the effing gym and never start smoking. Definitely never start smoking. And maybe remember one or another lottery number or a big sports result just to make sure. Realize my self-worth, get out of my crappy hometown, go to college for what I'm really passionate about, take school more seriously, don't use food as your coping mechanism for the emotional trauma I'm going to endure, spend as much time as you can with dad. He only has about 10 years left. Perfect. But also I'd like to add not getting into drugs and finding the right crowd. I'm surprised. Usually every comment in threads like this mentions Bitcoin. I was going to until I saw this. Start standing up for myself a lot sooner, start going to therapy a lot sooner. Tell my mom, you know how you work with kids that have ADHD. You know how you constantly say those kids remind you of me. You know how you're constantly getting mad at me for doing things that are symptoms of ADHD. Here's the phone book. Call a psychiatrist and make an appointment. Also, I would tell my dad what stocks to buy. Great. Now I'm a 12-year-old with crippling anxiety and no hope for the future. I'd sit my parents down, tell them the truth, and that they should take out a second mortgage on the house and invest in small startups that I know will grow dramatically in size. They would not believe me. So I'd have to make a prediction of a news event in the near future that's completely out of left field and can't be denied. This would be 1994. I'm assuming the same date. So I'd probably choose O.J. Simpson being arrested for killing his wife, which would be June 18th. Week and a half. They'd be amazed, and from then on I'd essentially run the house and largely function as an unfettered adult in my 12-year-old body. I'm still gonna jerk off like 10 times a day though, for old time's sake. 12 was a shitty year, but I would encourage my family to exercise more and eat better. I didn't eat broccoli until college. We just didn't have it. Fresh veg was too expensive. My brother died recently of a heart attack. Maybe I could have saved him. Get myself put in foster care and finish school early. Blackmail my father and stepmother with knowledge of their crimes and putting the fear of God into them to get my siblings the emotional and academic support they need from outside sources. Probably spend a year or two figuring out what the optimal career path is to be financially stable enough to have kids in my 20s. Do that. Try to justify my knowledge of a couple languages nobody I've ever met has spoken according to everyone I know. Spend a long time wrapping my head around how to have relationships with people once legally old enough, when I'd be attracted to people much older than me, but subconsciously judging those same people willing to have a relationship with my much physically younger self. Troll the internet by making people freak out with my uncannily accurate comments about the future. Likely get accused of being a hipster for an annoyingly large portion of my life thanks to consistently liking trends before they're popular. A 12-year-old waking up with decades of memories would go insane. People would think they're crazy until they started listing off everything that would happen, and they would come true. When I was 12, I received a $5,000 check from a very generous family member. I wanted to buy stock in Amazon, but my parents used it to pay for school. I can't say whether my parents or I would have had the patience to have really profited from that stock. and I'm grateful for my education. But I think about it frequently. Stop my disordered eating habits and self-harm while I still had control. Urge my parents to get me the mental health treatment I needed instead of waiting until it was almost too late. Appreciate my friends, school, and hometown. Don't buy stupid s I don't need. Oh definitely. I buy so much stupid crap and my money just seemingly vanishes overnight. I'm still trying to get out of the habit of buying things I don't need. But it's an endless cycle at the moment. Well, there is two route for me. I do everything what I did before, but give 110%. Or I can just really change my world, like meeting new people, taking different major at college, trying different professional job, etc. But I think I would live my life 100%, work my ass off, and enjoy every seconds. Work on developing better social skills, and make new friends. I'm not living this S again. I don't even really like to watch movies and those can be fast forwarded. Realize that even though they called me fat when I was 12, I wasn't fat at all, and feel better about my body image. Get the ADHD diagnosis now instead of at 22, so I can get help quicker. Pick a career I really want instead of settling for one I'm okay at. When that teacher's assistant asks you to read her novel and give her feedback, do not tell her your own novel idea. She steals everything from the plot twists to the title and uses them for her own novel. Truth is everyone would have a mental breakdown. You wouldn't be able to trust reality anymore. And I can't begin to imagine the mental toll of losing everything you have overnight and trying to connect with others as a 12-year-old with a 20-something's mindset. I tell Catherine to stop telling people that she thinks I'm creepy and have a crush on her cause it's pretty obvious that I'm in the closet. Then I'd call her a contents.